Welcome back to the NPTEL course Scanning Technology and Value Addition of Seafoods. So this is the last session of this module, National and International Standards. So we had seen in the previous session the international standards, how they evolved and which are the different agreements, for example, agreements like SPS and TBT agreements. Then we have now Codex Alimentarius, CAC. So in the previous session, I had mentioned that every nation, they have their own legal frameworks. So in India, we have FSSAI. So different countries have different bodies to maintain food safety. So in India, it is the responsibility of FSSAI to ensure food safety and food quality. Similarly, in US, we have Code of Federal Regulation, that is CFR. And in European nations, we have EFSA, that is European Food Safety Authority. Similarly, we have bodies in Japan. We also have bodies in Korea and other countries of the world. So they adopt the regulations and guidelines from the international standards, and they formulate their own regulations and see that each producer or the people who are involved in the food sector, they follow these regulations strictly. Now, FSSAI, it stands for Food Safety Standards Authority of India. It was established under Food Safety and Standards in 2006. It comprises of various acts and orders which deals with handling of food in various departments. So they set standards for food so that confusions can be avoided among different stakeholders. That is, different stakeholders here, we mean that producers, consumers, and the processors. So, and by establishing FSSAI, a single reference point has been established, and they are also the single line of command. So, command comes from them, and we have to follow these regulations. So, they set up the standards, they set up the regulations, and it's an obligation on the part of the processors or the people involved in the food sector that they follow the standards and regulations set by the authority. And FSSAI, they have took over the old acts. For we had Prevention of Food Adulteration Act in 1954, then FPO order, that is Food Products Order in 1955, Meat Food Products Order 1973, Vegetable Oil Products Order 1947, Edible Oils Packaging Order 1988, Solvent Extracted Oil De-oiled Meal Edible Flour Order 1967, and Milk and Milk Products Order. These were adjourned, or they were clubbed together and they were put together as one single act in FSS Act. Currently, we don't have these individual acts. The powers and functions of FSSAI, they frame regulations to ensure food safety, and so their standards are set. They also lay down guidelines for accreditation of laboratories which test food. So we have FSSAI accredited laboratories where we can send food samples for testing. They also provide scientific advices and give technical support to the central government. So if any crisis happens, so FSSAI will be the first body who will be contacted in this regard. So that crisis, if it is regulated the food, then FSSAI has to give scientific advice and technical support. It also contributes to the development of international standards in food sector. So FSSAI jointly with Codex, they develop international standards. So they give suggestions and help in improvising or establishing new standards. They also help in collecting and collating data regarding consumption, demand, contamination, etc. So anything related to the food, the data has to be maintained by the FSSAI. They also are involved in dissemination of information. The informations what has been created by the FSSAI, the standards that have been developed by the FSSAI, it has to reach to the consumers or it has to reach to the general public. So that is also seen by the FSSAI. So they promote awareness. For example, now we have Eat Right campaign by FSSAI. So it is among the general public, they promote this thing and they ensure that people are eating right food at right time. So similarly, in FSSAI, they pass informations and create awareness about food safety and nutrition required by the public. Now, these are the landscape, are involved in governance and administration, set food standards, they practice food safety, then compliance, licensing and inspection. They also have food testing laboratories, then training, and they also impart internship and training programs and capacity building, then healthy diets, and they also manage or they also monitor the behavioral changes, consumer focus, then leveraging web-based technology and research focus. International collaborations are also encouraged by FSSAI, and they also encourage partnership and convergence. So this FSSAI is a statutory body under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and presently the chairperson is Sri Rajesh Bhushan, IAS, and we have the headquarters at New Delhi. There are 6 regional offices located in Delhi, Guwahati, Mumbai, Kolkata, Kochi and Chennai. So these offices, they are actively involved in the different objectives set by the FSSAI. We have regulations on licensing and registration of food businesses, which was put forth in 2011, then packaging and labeling. Then we also have regulations on food product standard and food additives. It is in 2 parts, that is part 1 and part 2. And then we have prohibitions and restrictions on sales regulation, then contaminants, toxins and residues regulation, and laboratory and sampling analysis. Now the latest amended regulation is Food Safety and Standards Rule in 2013. So according to this FSSAI standards, it includes dairy products, fats and oils, cereals, fruits, vegetables, meat and meat products. They also have standards for fish and fishery products. Then along with that, the standards are there for sweets, confectionery, sweetening agents, spices, salts, beverages and other food products that are involved or that are added as ingredient to the food. Even proprietary food and irradiated foods also have standards which are laid or framed by FSSAI. FSSAI, they issue licenses. This is also the job of FSSAI. So people who are doing food business, they have to register in the FSSAI. So if the turnover is below 12 lakhs, the only registration is enough. But if it is between 2 lakhs and 20 crores, then it has the state license have to be issued, and central license is required if the turnover is about 20 crores. And along with this license application, with the other details like location of business, number of retail stores, these also need to be submitted when the license is being issued by the FSSAI. And this is about the body FSSAI, which is involved for maintaining the food quality and safety. Similarly, we have Code of Federal Regulations, Title 21, Food and Drugs, CFR 21. This is the regulation body in US. They ensure that food is safe and the quality is maintained in United States. So there are permanent and general rules which are codified and which are registered in the Federal Register, and there are executive departments and agencies of the federal government who are involved actively in publishing these rules and regulations. And Title 21 is reserved for the rules of Food and Drug Administration. Each title or volume of CFR is revised every year, and usually it is done on April 1st. So this is about the food and drugs. And now many nations, they are adopting the CFR rules. And this is how the rules will be. When you open their regulations, you will find that on the top left, you can find that it is 21 CFR 101/22. So it stands for 21 stands for the title, that is food and drugs. And it is usually cited like this. And CFR stands for Code of Federal Regulation, and 101, it indicates the food labeling. And Section 22, it stands for labeling of spices, flavorings, colorings and chemical preservatives. So similarly, you will find other regulations also. So whatever is meant for human consumption and drugs, it will be the CFR, they have their own set of regulations and standards, and it will be given in their website. Now, food safety, nutrition, security and sustainability, they are interlinked. So we have seen that we have international standards, and each nation, they have their own standards, and in the standards they have set the limits. That means the microbial count should be this much, or the heavy metal should be this much, or the protein content should be this much, or the fat content should be. So everything the limits has been set clearly, and it's the responsibility of the producer or to see that the limits are met. So rather than meeting the limits, why can't we have a system where we can prevent it? We can see that it is maintained in the initial phase itself. Rather than going to the end product, we have to do it in the first stage. So quality assurance and quality control throughout the process and at the initial steps, if it can be done, then end product definitely it will be within the limits. So that is the idea now. And in this thing, the 4 parameters like safety, nutrition, security and sustainability, that has to be taken into consideration, and these are linked together. And the quality assurance and quality control, it starts from the beginning, that is from the capture or from the procurement of the food product till it reaches to the consumer, that is processing, distribution, everything throughout the chain. If the quality is maintained, then we can ensure the end product is safe and healthy. Now, quality control, assurance and quality control. Therefore, this idea is coming up now, and quality assurance is a planned and systematic activity which is implemented within the quality system, and it is implemented mainly with the idea of maintaining quality. So, for example, if you can look at the figure here, the workers, they are wearing head caps, they are wearing masks, they are wearing gloves. So that is part of the quality assurance. So in the company, in the processing line, if they are not talking to each other, they are doing the work thoroughly and they are not touching it directly, so nothing is getting contaminated from their hand. They are putting the head caps, the hair won't fall, or they are also using the mask. So this all ensures the quality assurance. So if we can ensure from the initial stage, then we can ensure that the product is safe and it is within the limits and it is matching to the standards that has been laid by the governments. Now we have different certification schemes to ensure food safety and quality assurance, and one of the most prominent one is HACCP certification. We also have GMP, then MESTI. MESTI is commonly used in Malaysia, and ISO, again it is commonly available in India, we are using it. So we follow all these systems to ensure that the food product is safe, and not only safe, the quality is assured. For this, we have to adopt the schemes. Now, HACCP, it stands for, it's an acronym for Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point. In the previous section, actually, we had seen that there are different types of hazards: physical hazard, chemical hazard, and biological hazards. All these hazards, they are addressed in this scheme, and they see that the quality is assured or maintained in the business. So HACCP, it has 7 principles and 12 procedures. So this is generally followed in the system, and the 7 principles are like, first we have to analyze the hazard. So if you are producing a product in the company, you have to identify your product and see what are the common hazards that can happen, so that you can prevent them, and determine the CCPs, that is critical control point, and then set management standards. For example, if cooking is a critical control point, then set your temperature and the time. So that is time, temperature will be the standards, and monitor it regularly. So that will be the 4th principle. And monitoring it, seeing that the processing line or the processor is following the same standard. We are putting the standard as 70 and cooking is done at 75 or 60, then the management is not working properly. So it has to be monitored regularly. And if it is not monitored, for some reason some mistake is happening, then improvement measures need to be taken. It might be the problem with the setting or the equipment. So if in that case, the improvements need to be adopted, and it has to be seen that the companies are following or they're sticking to the standards they have put, and then verifying it and keeping records. So these are the 7 principles of the HACCP, and along with this, the 5 more steps have been added. That is, for doing this hazard analysis, we need to have a team, and team comprises of different people from different areas, and you describe the product and identify where it is being used, who is going to use the product. It might be meant for infants, it might be meant for adults, or it might be meant for elderly people. So you have to describe for whom it is meant and create a manufacturing process list. Protocol or flowchart need to be designed, and which indicates how it is being processed, and on-site confirmation of the process list has to be done. So along with the principles, we also have to follow these steps. These 12 steps, it indicate the procedures. So this is how the HACCP is being done in a company. And this shows the critical control point decision tree. Actually, for determining the critical control point, we have decision tree. And here you have to ask questions at every point. And if the answer is yes, again you have to, for example, Is it likely that the raw material contains the hazard under study at unacceptable levels? If it is yes, then we have to ask another question. Will processing, including expecting consumer use, eliminate the hazard or reduce it to the acceptable level? If it is yes, then it is not a CCP. But if it is no, then you have to set standard here and call it as a CCP and see that it is monitored and verified regularly. So similarly, the tree has to be designed for each and every product, and standards had to be designed for each CCP. Now, benefits of HACCP certification: this will control hygiene and hazards. HACCP is not meant for only for the product, it is also meant for the company and the personnel. So hygiene will also be taken care of, and it also improves the food safety. It mitigates the risk of product liability claims. It demonstrates due diligence. People will be aware of it, they will be contributing, and they will be actively participating in it. And HACCP certification will also earn international recognition. People will be able to market their product in the international market. It will also boost the consumer confidence. So these are the different benefits of HACCP certification. And next we have to see GMP, and GMP stands for Good Manufacturing Practices. So again, here we have a set of regulations, codes and guidelines. In GMP, the standards are not there. So only we have to ensure that the regulations which has been laid, these are followed or not. So these are actually GMP is an integral part of HACCP. If GMP is taken care of, then it's like 50% of the work has been done. So in GMP, we concentrate on hygiene during production, quality management, then suitable facilities and trained and qualified personnel is very important for GMP. And if there are any complaints, the complaints need to be addressed. Any default in the product, it need to be recalled, and traceability is also an important factor in GMP. So all these things together, they form the GMP, and GMP is an integral part of HACCP. So we have to follow GMP when we do the HACCP certification system is followed. And ISO 22000, it is also a food safety and quality management system. And ISO 22000, it is international standard FSMS 2005, and it's a complete food safety and quality management system which comprises of all the systems which we had seen earlier, which includes GMP, SSOP, HACCP and quality management system. So it's a compiled system where we have all the systems together, and it also maps out the organization, regardless of its size and the position in the food chain, ISO need to be followed in the industry, and it ensures that, or it demonstrates that the control is followed so that food safety can be ensured. And recently in 2021, a joint publication was published by ISO and United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and which is a compiled book which gives a practical idea about the different food safety management systems, and which has to be followed in the organization setup, and which will ensure the safe and quality food. So this is a compiled book, and it is based on ISO 2018. And now coming to the value addition and value driven. So after going through the laws and regulations set internationally and nationally, we can understand that regulations for value added products or value driven products, they are limited. And now countries are coming up with regulations for value added products. And in the case of fisheries, we have to give importance to sustainability, marketing and sales. It is not only the product quality or safety, it is also how it has been caught, or it doesn't have any impact on the nature, and how it is marketed and also sold. So these parameters also need to be addressed. Value added, it can be defined as the foods that are produced and marketed using attributes other than inherent nutritional or food characteristics. So by value added food, we mean that what kind of improvements have been done in the product and how it can be marketed. So it has some inherent food quality parameters. It is there, but along with that, what are the other changes that have been done? So these may include changes during harvesting, production or processing, or social aspects of workforce, management practices, and it may also include other attributes like from where it has been taken or the product has been collected. So all these need to be addressed, and again sustainability is the important issue. And in case of fisheries, we have bodies like Marine Stewardship Council, then FAO, Responsible Fisheries Management, Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute. All these they're coming together to give a sustainable value-driven product. Now companies, they have their own sustainability program. They can also go for a third-party certification. So you can have your own inside, you can have an internal sustainability program, or you take help of third party. And MSC is the oldest sustainability program which ensures sustainable fishing and seafood traceability, and it is associated with major fisheries organizations. Under this we have 2,366 fishery products, and it is growing. And actually MSC is adopted, or it is recognized by the consumer, so it has to be put in the label. 23% of the consumers, they prefer to have MSC labeling, and consumer interest is increasing because it provides higher quality, also greener distribution. So not only the sustainability, the organic or the greener concept is also coming up, but the bottleneck that the small industries or the mid-sized industries they face is the distribution. They might be developing the products, but how to distribute it, how to market it, that is a difficulty they are facing right now, and which also need to be addressed. And seafood, it's the first industry sector that has in which the label contains country of origin. So it is the first product because it's a highly traded product. This concept of traceability was adopted in case of seafood, and it came under the country of origin labeling Cool Act. Now we have seen there are regulations for food products or the value-added products, fishery products or the byproducts which are coming out from the industry. So product-wise or the item-wise standards or regulations are set. But when a fish has captured or it is cultured, these standards need to be followed. So we have EIS standard which assesses the environmental impact. We have CRSA notification, so it should not be in the coastal zone. So we have bodies at local government level, state level and central level, and all these bodies, they contribute directly or indirectly to the standards. So fisheries, you cannot say that it is a independent one. The fisheries sector, they have to follow these standards also, the regulations and the standards put forth by these agencies, and then they have the product which is reaching to the consumer, that also need to be taken care of. So everything, it is not only the regulations regarding the food and the end product, these regulations are also equally important. So with this, we have come to the end of this session, and we also wind up the course here. In this course, we have learned a lot about canning and different processing techniques, the spoilage, the conditions, the value addition of the products, and how spoilage can be prevented, how value addition can be done, and what are the legal aspects that need to be considered when we adopt a product or when we market a product. So all these things we have seen, and this will be elaborated in the study material which will be uploaded soon. And with this, thank you and best wishes to all the students.